What's going on, everybody? What is going on? It is Saturday, November 8th, 2025, and we are back with the weekly recap. As y'all know, last week we didn't have one because I was out of town, so we couldn't have one last week. So we are back this week. So we're going to be covering some stuff that happened last week as well as some things that happened this week. So we're going to be here for a little bit, but shout out to everybody that is here so far in the chat. I'm glad that you are all here. If you haven't done so already, please be sure to go ahead and hit the like button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button if you are new. And if you are new to the channel, be sure to hit the bell twice to be notified whenever I upload a new video or go live. Shout out to all the mods, all the members, everybody on Patreon. I'm glad that each and every one of you are here. Before we get into everything, let me acknowledge those who are here so far in the chat. We got Reparations Nation. We got the Boricua. I'm guessing that's Princess. Forgive me if I don't have it wrong. The font that you have your name written, it's hard for me to read it. We got Miss Nisi. We got Dimpleface. E equals MC squared. Brother Man to you. Wallow J. GDS. Roku Muro. Nini. And Sybil. That is it so far in the chat. Shout out to all of you that are here so far in the chat. And if anyone else comes in, shout out to you as well. And shout out to KG for being a member for 43 months. He says, B1 Night Rider checking in. I appreciate you. We also got Andre just came in the chat. Black just came in the chat as well. So as y'all know, last week I was out of town. But if y'all are in the Discord, I had put something in there telling y'all who I saw at the airport. But in case y'all did not know, when I was on my way leaving to go to my destination, I saw two people that I have talked about numerous times on my channel at the airport. Those two people were Amaru Foodle and Dom Lucre. I kid you not. I wish I could have said I'm making that up, but I really saw them when I was getting ready. When I was done tagging my bag and getting ready to go through security, I just looked over. I was like, wait a minute, is that who I think it is? Walked right past them like I didn't even know him. So they apparently was in DC for some kind of event. I don't know what, but who cares? And then when I was on my way back from my destination, I felt the effects of the shutdown because, you know, in the airport, when you're going through security, there's two lines. You have TSA pre-check and then you just have the regular check-in. I was in the regular one. There was a couple people that was ahead of me. One of the people that was the TSA people that was working there, they ended up having to close their line. And then we were stuck dealing with just one person dealing with TSA pre-check and just regular check-in. So it's kind of spooky right now. And it's crazy because the shutdown has been going on for 30-something days. So I feel for those, it's weird when I was in that airport and I'm looking at all those people working there and they're basically doing volunteer work. I didn't say anything, brother. Like, what was the point of me saying anything to him? I have nothing to say to him. And besides, you do know that airports are federal property. If something was to pop off and I was to get like detained, then how would that have looked? It's not like we was outside. I was just trying to get from point A to point B. But I just wanted to bring up that little bit right there. But now what we're going to do is go ahead and just jump right into these topics. But before, usually I start off with it's either going to be good news or unfortunate news. But unfortunately, this one today is going to be unfortunate news. And this just happened this week. So I'm not a Cowboys fan, but I did want to highlight the story about this Cowboys defensive end by the name of Marshawn Nealon, who is dead at 24. And they said apparently he allegedly took himself out. And I said, that's crazy. I said 24, such a young life. And he was active playing for the Cowboys. And from what I heard, he just scored his first touchdown like ever in his career. And then a few days later, he's gone. Nene said that story makes no sense. Yeah, some people are like questioning like everything that's going on with the story. Some people are saying they don't believe that he took his own life and everything like that. And it's a lot of speculation, but one thing's for certain is unfortunately he's no longer here. That's the unfortunate part. It says the Dallas Cowboys announced the death of defensive end Marshawn Kneeland on Thursday, and he was 24. The team made an announcement in a statement. They said it is with extreme sadness that the Dallas Cowboys share that Marshawn Kneeland tragically passed away this morning. Marshawn was a beloved teammate and member of our organization. Our thoughts and prayers regarding Marshawn are with his girlfriend Catalina and with his family. The NFL released a similar statement Thursday confirming Kneeland's death and adding that it has offered support and counseling resources to the Cowboys. They said his family confirmed his death Thursday, saying they were devastated by the loss. And it just goes on and on and on and on from there. But I'm sure that it's going to be more stuff that's going to come out that's going to reveal what actually happened. But right now, that's what they're saying, that this was the cause, that this is what caused it. Shout out to Miss Stacy, said good morning and hit the like button. Definitely make sure y'all are hitting that like button. But either way, no matter what comes out of this, RIP to this man. Again, he was only 24, had his whole life ahead of him. His life was just really getting started. So, it's unfortunate. But now let's move on to the next story. Let's get into some updates. So, as y'all know, Rhoda Osman, aka the Brick Lady, was found guilty for basically committing a theft scheme. She raised a whole bunch of money on GoFundMe, and she was alleging that a black man had threw or hit her with a brick a couple years ago, I think back in 2023. And a lot of people was kind of speculating, like, okay, how true and valid is this woman's story, especially since when you looked at how she was, it didn't look like she got hit in the face with a brick. It looked more like she had an allergic reaction to something. Like when I first saw it, I said, that doesn't look like she got hit with a brick. It looked like she had some kind of allergy. But it all came out that she lied and that she was found guilty for lying. And it says a woman who went viral in 2023 after claiming that a man threw a brick at her head when she wouldn't give him her number, then raised more than $42,000 through a GoFundMe page, has been found guilty of theft by a Harris County jury. Rhoda Osman, age 35, had to be told to calm down several times after the jury returned the guilty verdict following about 2.5 hours of deliberations. Bank records shared during the trial revealed all of the donated money had been spent. Harris County prosecutor Keith Houston said on trips to Jamaica and New York, at restaurants, spas, and ride shares. After the jury convicted Osman, Harris County District Court Judge Dan Simon sentenced her to 10 years of probation. She should have got some jail time, in my honest opinion, behind this. If conditions get violated, Osman could serve a 10-year prison sentence. As conditions of probation, Osman will have to serve 90 days in jail and undergo inpatient substance abuse treatment. Houston says, so she does have to do some jail time, but I feel like she should do more. I mean, that lie could have got a lot of people hemmed up. It says Osman will also have to pay full restitution of $42,302. The judge also ordered her to not use social media for the 10-year period. I'd say it's pretty rare, defense attorney Joe Venus said of the social media ban. He isn't connected to the case. If somebody's sophisticated enough with social media to commit a crime using social media, I imagine that is a pretty big part of her life. So that's going to be difficult for her. But as I remind my clients all the time, probation is supposed to be hard. The final judgment and probation conditions have not yet been signed, but a hearing is scheduled next week when that could happen. And it says she kind of made the couple months that happened my life a living hell, said Olan Douglas, the man who Osman told police through the brick. It seems like she gets on social media and just manipulates and scams people. Yep, so that's the update with her, and shout out to Church for being a member for 15 months. He says shalom and salute to the family listening in the background. I appreciate you. But yeah, when I first heard that story, I didn't believe it. As it's something about this story just does not, to me, does not seem right. And it looks like my hunch was correct. And I'm sure a lot of y'all in the chat probably didn't believe that either, because it's just like something about it just didn't seem right to me. But I think her getting that 10-year social media ban is going to hurt her more than anything, because they said that she was always on it. I mean, imagine you can't use social media in any capacity for an entire decade. That's going to eat her up. And that's part of her probation. So if she gets caught using it, then that means she could go to jail for 10 years. She's going to be struggling out here for the next decade until she's 45. Let's go to this next update. Now, some of you may or may not remember this story, but I actually talked about this in a live that I did a while ago. This is back when the National Guard was just first planted in DC. So this probably was back in August. It was a white guy by the name of Sean Dunn. He had went to Subway and he had bought a Subway sandwich, and he went and got in the face of some of those National Guard people, and he took it and he threw it at one of them, and then they chased him down the street. Well, the update that has come from that is that he was found not guilty of assaulting a federal agent. Like really let that sink in of just the title. This guy threw a sandwich at a federal agent, and he was found not guilty of it. Now, that is Operation Protect the White Boy, because had that been a black guy that did that, it would have been guilty across the board. Let's see. It says a federal jury in Washington, D.C. on Thursday found former Department of Justice paralegal Sean Dunn not guilty of assaulting a federal agent whom he had thrown a Subway sandwich at in August. Dunn's acquittal after just several hours of deliberation was the latest rebuke to the DOJ case. U.S. Attorney for D.C. Jeanine Pirro's prosecutors previously failed to get a grand jury in D.C. to indict the 37-year-old on a felony assault charge. Listen, Jeanine Pirro, another person that's not qualified to do her job. Pirro's office then filed a misdemeanor charge against him, which went to trial this week. Jurors began deliberations on Wednesday. Dunn was charged in connection with tossing a sandwich at Customs and Border Protection Officer Greg Larimore on August 10th along the U Street nightlife corridor in Washington. Larimore and other federal authorities were deployed in D.C. by President Donald Trump in response to what the president claimed was a rampant crime in the capital city. F you effing fascists. Why are you here? I don't want you in my city. Dunn allegedly shouted at a group of federal officers before hurling the sandwich at one of them. Dunn was fired by the DOJ, where he worked in the criminal division's international affairs section after his arrest. Dunn's attorney, Sabrina Schroff, during closing arguments on Wednesday, said that the confrontation was the result of his strongly held feelings about immigration enforcement. Schroff also told jurors that you were the ones impacted by executive orders issued by Trump, which put federal law enforcement officers on the streets of D.C. You were the ones impacted by the executive orders. There was and remains a huge law enforcement presence in the district. The defense attorney also argued that the sandwich did not impede Officer Larimore's duties that night. A foot long from Subway could not and certainly did not inflict bodily harm. This reads like a comedy script. They said Schroff also noticed that Larimore had received 2 gag gifts from co-workers, a plush sandwich and a patch featuring a cartoon of Dunn throwing the sandwich with the words felony foot long, according to the outlet. What kind of kangaroo court is this? If someone assaulted you, if someone offended you, would you keep a memento of their assault? Would you stick it on your daily lunchbox and carry it with you day in and day out? She asked. I'm just saying, if this guy can get away with throwing a sandwich at somebody, especially someone who's a federal agent, then he just basically opened the floodgates for them to throw something more menacing than a sandwich. The next time it might be something a little bit more solid that could do some damage. Exactly, Nene. This is hilarious. Like I said, like if I was in the courtroom listening to this, I would probably be like, they would probably have to tell me to excuse myself and get myself together before coming back in there. Wally, you stupid. You crazy. B1J Cage. Again, and if y'all haven't done so already, make sure y'all hit the like button. I would appreciate that. All right, let's move on to the next story, and this is actually a update to another story that I did. I forgot. Was it? I can't remember if it was last year or if it was this year. But it's his former trooper sentenced after pleading guilty to staging his own shooting. How many of y'all in the chat remember this story right here? I definitely did talk about this in a whole separate video. It says former New York State Police Trooper Thomas Maschia and his parents were sentenced on Wednesday morning in Mineola. The 28-year-old Maschia pleaded guilty in May to shooting himself and then claiming he was shot in the Southern State Parkway last October. So it was last year. He was sentenced to 6 months in jail and 5 years probation. He will also have to undergo mental health treatment. There it is. And civil judgment will be ordered for $289,511. While he was on the force, Maschia shot himself in the leg and then falsely claimed he was ambushed by another driver initiating a traffic stop. I remember this because a lot of people was trying to speculate, like, who was this person that allegedly ambushed you? Because, you know, typically they'll love to say it's a black person that did it, but they never specified or came out and said who he was allegedly ambushed by. It was just, oh, I was ambushed by somebody. It led to a multi-state manhunt. Prosecutors say the elaborate hoax cost taxpayers thousands of dollars. Officials say a simple search of the former trooper's phone prior to the incident revealed a Google search of how it feels to get shot and where he could potentially shoot himself. There was research on temporary plate tags he would later describe for his imaginary assailant's car and hints at why he chose the Southern State Parkway, because it had no cameras or license plate readers. Thomas Maschie's actions were meticulously calculated as they were disgraceful. His lies wasted hundreds of hours of law enforcement manpower, deeply cost taxpayers in Nassau County, and betrayed the public's trust of those in uniform. I want this case to be a reminder that serving the public and law enforcement is an enormous privilege, is one that should never be taken lightly. No one is above the law, and I am pleased to say that justice was served because the system worked. Maschie's parents were also charged with possessing an illegal firearm that was found at the foot of their bed during a search. His father pleaded guilty to one count of criminal possession of a firearm and was sentenced to 5 years probation on Wednesday. His mother pleaded guilty to a criminal possession of a weapon and was sentenced to conditional discharge on Wednesday. There is still an ongoing debate over his motive. There was an ex-girlfriend he was trying to impress, and I believe he wanted the public to see him as a hero. Now I remember that part. When I read that part, I was so confused. I remember that part now that they bring it up in this article about the ex-girlfriend he was trying to impress. I was so confused by that. However, his attorney said it happened as a result of untreated mental health issues, quote unquote. Nobody really wants to discuss the elephant in the room, which is why did this occur? It doesn't just occur out of the blue. It occurs because it was a result of many years of mental health issues that were never treated. Can they tell us what mental health issue it was? Or are we just going to have to guess? So there's that. Hey, we got Gnome King in the building. It's been a while since Gnome King was in this chat. Yeah, but I remember that story now. And he like they said, he was searching where in his leg to shoot because he know he didn't want to hit an artery. He basically pulled a plexical burrus. Exactly, KG. How did he become a cop if he had these alleged mental health issues? See, that's the part people don't want to go in and discuss. Okay, now that we've got, hold on. Wait a minute, y'all. Now that we've gone through all the updates, because I think those are all the updated stories, now we can get into some main stories. Like this one right here, coming out of San Francisco. Trump calls off planned federal surge in San Francisco, but plans for Bay Area immigration crackdown unclear. President Donald Trump said Thursday morning that he was calling off plans for a federal deployment in in San Francisco on Saturday after talking to tech leaders who assured him the surge wasn't needed. That's all it took. Mayor Daniel Lurie first announced the news that Trump told him clearly that he was calling off any plans for a federal deployment in San Francisco. The statement sent by Lurie's office also says Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem reaffirmed that direction in our conversation this morning. Lurie's announcement came hours after protests clashed with federal immigration agents arriving at Coast Guard Island near Alameda. It was not immediately clear whether a major federal immigration operation, which the Chronicle first reported Wednesday, would proceed in Bay Area cities like other than San Francisco. White House spokesperson Abigail Jackson did not respond to a request for clarification. Oh, we already know, KG. They the ones that hold all the money, that holds the bank vault. In recent days, Bay Area leaders had feared two potential federal incursions in the region from the Trump administration, a deployment of the National Guard, as Trump has done in the Democratic-led cities such as Los Angeles, and a major immigration crackdown by federal immigration officers who have been ramping up arrests in the region, particularly at courthouses, since May. So basically what I'm getting from that is he's picking and choosing which ones he wants to go after. That's what I'm gathering. I don't even have to go any further than that. That's basically what it's telling me, is that you're picking and choosing which ones you want to go after. And if the price is right, you might get left alone. So this story right here was a tragedy, to say the least. So in Kentucky, there was a deadly cargo plane crash. It was a UPS cargo plane that was leaving from Kentucky to go to Honolulu, Hawaii, and it barely made it off of the ground before it ended up crashing. And this right here is an image of the crash site. And I saw the video of it, and when I saw that, it looked like a nuke bomb got dropped, because that explosion was crazy. I don't know if any of y'all saw it, but that was absolutely insane. When I saw it, it looked like something out of an action movie. It said at least 12 people have been killed after a cargo plane ran off the runway and burst into flames in Kentucky on Tuesday. The aircraft, which was operated by the American delivery company UPS, struck several buildings after one of its engines caught fire and fell off during takeoff. Officials fear the number of dead and injured could rise. Wow. They said the aircraft burst into flames and at least two nearby businesses were hit by the wreckage, the state governor's Andy Beshear has said. Kentucky Petroleum Recycling was struck pretty directly, with a second business, Grade A Auto Parts, also impacted. And this is a map right here of what it looked like. Like I said, the plane barely got off the ground. That's crazy. It's crazy, but scary at the same time. But don't worry, like I had told people, I said my last plane ride was the one that I just took this past weekend to come back here. Until they get everything together with all of this, I won't be on another plane anytime soon. I'll put it like that. If I have to go somewhere, it'll have to be driving distance. Scoop, good observation. Reminds you of the movie Final Destination, the first one. Especially, since that happened as soon as they took off, except with that one, the plane exploded in the air. This one exploded on the ground. And shout out to Noam King for the 5. He said, y'all see how the airports are slowly shutting down? They are trying to trap people in the US because they know many people are now wanting to leave. I appreciate the super chat, Noam King. But yeah, RIP to all of those people that lost their lives, though. A freak accident. That's literally what that is. But I'll tell you what is not a freak accident. This story right here, and I have to unshare the screen right quick because I think the audio went out. And I have to share the screen again. Hold on, y'all. This right here is no accident. Look at the hold on. Let's look at the title of this before we even get into the video itself. Just holding a Doritos bag. Student handcuffed after AI system mistook bag of chips for a weapon. Let's get into it.
That student and his family said that they're upset about the incident. He told me that he had just finished eating a bag of chips. He crumpled up the bag, put it in his pocket, and what happened next took him by complete surprise.
It was a scary situation. It's nothing I've been through before. So.
Around 7 p.m. on Monday, Takai Allen says that he was sitting outside of Kenwood High School waiting to be picked up after football practice. While he was waiting with his friends, he says that he ate a bag of Doritos, crumpled up the bag, and put it in his pocket. What happened next caught him completely off guard.
20 minutes later, it was like 8 cop cars that came pulling up to us. And I was like, at first I didn't know where they was going until they started walking towards me with guns, talking about, get on the ground. And I was like, what? They made me get on my knees and then put my hands behind my back and cuffed me. And then they searched me and they figured out I ain't have nothing. Then they went over there to where I was standing, found a bag of chips on the floor.
When he asked why they did it,
they said that AI detector or something detected that I had a gun, but I was just holding they showed me a picture. I was just holding a Doritos bag like this. It was 2 hands in and 1 hand out and 1 finger out, and they was like, they said it looked like a gun.
Last year, Baltimore County High School started using a gun detection system that uses artificial intelligence to help detect potential weapons by tapping into existing school cameras. The system can identify a possible weapon and then send an alert to the school safety team and law enforcement. Allen's grandfather says that he's not only upset about the situation, but also the response.
Nobody will want their child this to happen to their child. No one. No one wants this to happen to their child.
Officials sent us a letter that the principal sent to parents that says in part, quote, at approximately 7 p.m., school administration received an alert that an individual on school grounds may have been in possession of a weapon. The Department of School Safety and Security quickly reviewed and canceled the initial alert after confirming there was no weapon. The company behind that technology is called OmniAlert. I did reach out to them for an interview, and they told me that they do not comment on internal school procedures. I followed up by asking them why the technology mistook that bag of chips as a weapon, and I've not yet heard back. The school system says that it is offering counseling to the students involved. In Baltimore County, Kyrie Stewart, WBAL TV 11 News.
Oh, God. I'm still stuck on how in the world did a bag of Doritos get mistaken for a gun? Because I'm sitting here saying to myself, a bag of Doritos. Okay, so you like a bag of Doritos, like a color of a gun wouldn't even look like a bag of Doritos. Like, really? And like y'all said in the chat, the kid just happened to be black. And this happened in Baltimore, because you already know what they love to say when it comes to Baltimore and crime in Baltimore. But like Wallow also said, lawsuit. Because as far as I'm concerned, that's pain and suffering. Because I'm trying to figure out, again, how do you... Okay, KG, you said you can color your guns now. Okay, fine. But still, how in the world do you mistake with AI detection a bag of chips for a gun? Like, that doesn't even make sense. None whatsoever. But that's scary though. If they can say that a bag of chips, a crumbled up bag of chips, is a gun using AI technology, that is very dangerous. But I'm glad the kid is okay. But I know he was shook. Now let's move on to someone who needs to be shaken, and that's Marvin Winans. Now, I'm sure all of you in the chat have heard about this story right here. And Pastor Bishop Marvin Winans and his pulpit pimping self with this fundraising thing that went viral. This is exactly right now why I don't go there. This is exactly why I don't go there. It says Bishop Marvin Winans is addressing the controversy surrounding a viral video from his church's Day of Giving, which sparked criticism and speculation across social media. The pastor of Perfecting Church in Detroit claims the short clip showing him speaking to a member during a donation event has been taken out of context. I don't believe that, because we saw the video. That was not being taken out of context. You practically berated this woman. The woman involved, Roberta McCoy, has also come forward. According to WXYZ, both Winans and McCoy described the interaction as a simple correction meant to maintain order, not a rebuke. The viral clip circulated widely after appearing to show Winans questioning a member's donation in front of the congregation. In the video, McCoy is seen approaching in the front with an offering of less than $2,000, prompting online claims that the pastor publicly embarrassed her. McCoy, however, says that's not what happened. She says he absolutely did not rebuke me. Now there's a difference. There was a correction because, let me clearly state, the pastor gave instructions on the lines to get into. The fact that you have an offering line and there's two different lines depending on how much you're offering is insane. It says she joined the wrong line by mistake and said the pastor's comment was simply a reminder about the order he had established for the large crowd. Winans echoed her explanation, saying his words were never meant to embarrass anyone. He said it was our day of giving and the whole church was participating. We didn't want people standing too long, especially the mothers, so we called groups in increments. Someone had given earlier, so I corrected it and told everyone to listen and come when called. That's all that was. He added that he wanted to ensure the service moved efficiently so elderly members could remain comfortable. As McCoy said, Bishop Winans personally apologized to her after the event that she accepted immediately. She says, I've been a member of Perfecting Church since 2013 and have always given faithfully. I will continue to do so. My pastor didn't rebuke me at all. Yeah, if you say so. While he said giving out rent and mortgage payments at a church is nasty work. Yeah, asking for $2,000 and what, $1,000, and then having two separate lines to determine which line goes, like what don't, basically having two separate donation lines. That's crazy. Ms. Nisi said church begins and ends at my home. Because this reminds me of, who was it? It was somebody else recently. Marvin Sapp. Didn't he do something similar a while ago? And that's why when I saw what Marvin Winans did, I thought that it was Marvin Sapp again, because they both got the name Marvin and they're both in the church. And they practically both did the same thing. They also remind me of Reverend Leon Lonnie Love from Martin. You know, the one that David Allen Greer played, the one who was Pam's scheming cousin, who was also a freak. Shout out to Gnome King for the 10. He says, who the F is paying, even still going to church and paying tithes anyway? These people right here. He said the church collects millions annually and pays no taxes. I'm taxed every time I make or spend money and won't get a single red cent from me. I appreciate the contribution. And the crazy part about it is people will see this and they will still go. That's the crazy part. Shout out to Brother Man to you for the 10. He says, thanks for reminders and keeping updates and more touring. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. And I appreciate the super chat. So as far as I'm concerned, Marvin is full of it. This woman, she's full of it too. Let's move on to the next story. So this one says, bond set for man accused of killing a teenager at a bonfire in Jefferson County. Let's see what they're talking about. Let's see if the video. Oh, I gotta wait for the ad to go through. That's why I don't be going to, you would not find me in one of those mega churches. They got to keep the lights on somehow. They got to keep their lifestyle afloat. And that's how they're going about doing it. Shout out to Miss Nisi for the 20. She said, double up donation touring. I appreciate it. Okay, now I think it's coming on. Y'all can't hear it? Okay, hold on. Hold on. I'll start it over.
To that breaking news in Jefferson County, a judge setting a bond for the man accused of killing a high school cheerleader and injuring 3 others at a bonfire party this past weekend.
Your reporter Bria Chapman in the courtroom this morning as Stephen Whitehead went before a judge.
Yeah, that court case wrapping up earlier this morning after detectives testified that that late night bonfire that happened last weekend turned into a mass deadly shooting. They say things took a turn once a fight broke out and shots rang out, leaving Kimber Mills and 3 other people shot. Now today in court, investigators with the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office say the party started between 8 and 9 o'clock last Saturday night, and they found out that there were flyers posted about it on social media. And witnesses testified Stephen Whitehead was offering beers to a young lady at the party, and investigators say she told people Whitehead touched her. Now witnesses say a group confronted Whitehead and then a fight broke out. And in 3 videos played in court, you can hear people arguing and profanity being used, with people screaming, "Leave" and "Stop." Then you hear about a dozen shots, a brief pause, and then more shots. Now, deputies say Whitehead turned himself in after driving back home to Tuscaloosa County. Now, the judge found probable cause in this murder case, and right now a bond has been set for him on the murder charge for a $150,000. He's also looking at a $60,000 bond in each of those 3 attempted murder charges. And we'll continue to bring you the latest in this case as it continues to develop. Your reporter in downtown Birmingham, I'm Bria Chapman, WBRC 6 News on your side.
We're also learning more about how Kimber Mills will be honored. The funeral arrangements for the Cleveland High School cheerleader have just been released. The family will receive friends Sunday at Cleveland Baptist Church from 12:30 to 3, followed by the funeral. Burial will be at Alvester Cemetery. Mills' obituary said she'd been accepted to the University of Alabama, UAB, and Wallace State.
Okay, so y'all saw. Hold on.
They say.
Hold on. So y'all saw that right there. Now, this story didn't find a way to make its way into mainstream media, and I'm not surprised by that at all. And yes, that was a low bond, but like I said, it wouldn't be an Operation Protect the White Boy if it was. I always said that. Y'all have heard me say this, but for those who missed it, let me say it now. There are certain crimes that people should not get a bond for. This is one of them. This guy basically committed a mass shooting. He committed a mass shooting where there was a casualty, and it was a teenage girl. He should not have received a bond. Keep him locked up as long as possible. And shout out to Scoop for the 5. He said 13%. Remind me who commits majority of the crime again. Exactly. And I appreciate the super chat. And you know, the usual suspects, especially those over on Twitter, ain't going to talk about this. I mean, if they haven't talked about it by now, they won't talk about it because this story came out on October 24th. Imagine you just going to a bonfire to have a good time with your friends and then that pops off. And this happened in Alabama, by the way, because people was asking Jefferson County, like what Jefferson County? It was in Alabama. When I heard Tuscaloosa, that's when I knew. So let's move on now to this next story right here. Pardoned Capitol rioter charged with threatening to kill Hakeem Jeffries at NYC event this week. One of the people that Trump let out from what happened with January 6th was attempting to take out Hakeem Jeffries, or was threatening to do it. A pardoned Capitol rioter was arrested for allegedly threatening to kill House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries. Court documents obtained by CBS News said Christopher Moniyan was arrested Sunday after saying in text messages that he planned to eliminate Jeffries when the top House Democrat spoke at the Economic Club of New York in New York City on Monday, October 20th. Moniyan was arraigned Tuesday and entered a plea of not guilty. He was released on bond, of course, Saturday. Prosecutors told CBS News pending future court proceedings. According to a court filing by prosecutors in the New York State criminal case, Moniyan wrote, Hakeem Jeffries makes a speech in a few days in NYC. I cannot allow this terrorist to live. Moniyan also allegedly stated, even if I am hated, he must be eliminated. I will take him out for the future, the filing said. Now, you got someone who wrote all of that, who was threatening to take out a political figure, and you gave him a bond and released him? Moniyan faces a felony charge of making a terroristic threat, according to court filings shared by prosecutors. In a statement Tuesday, Jeffries noted that Moniyan had been pardoned by Trump on his first day in office, and that many of the criminals released have committed additional crimes throughout the country. But Jeffries added that threats of violence will not stop us from showing up and standing up and speaking up for the American people. Moniyan's dad declined to comment on the case when reached by phone by CBS News on Monday. He said Moniyan has not yet been appointed a defense attorney. Dutchess County, New York District Attorney Anthony Parisi said in a statement to CBS News that although my office was not contacted during the investigative stage of this matter, we are now reviewing the case for legal and factual sufficiency. That part that they mentioned about a lot of them committing crimes after they got released is so true. Because I remember back when they released them, we started to look into some of the crimes. Some crimes they were committing before what happened with January 6th. And then you're going to go and commit more crimes after the fact? Not surprised. Not surprised at all. But another person that's catching heat right now is the Amazon CEO, Andy Jassy. I'm guessing that's how you pronounce his name. Because I don't know if y'all saw, but Amazon has laid off so many people. A lot of people, in fact. But it's his take on it that has a lot of people looking at him with the side eye. Because it's like, it sounds very tone deaf. It says Amazon announced a new round of layoffs last month, impacting about 14,000 employees. Days later, CEO Andy Jassy clarified that the job cuts are not impacted by AI or aim to cut costs. Instead, the reason behind Amazon's 14,000 job cuts is culture. And I'm like, culture? What does that even mean? Like, when I first read that, I said, what does that mean? It says the announcement that we made a few days ago was not really financially driven and is not even really AI driven. Not right now, at least. Not right now, at least. So they're basically telling you that in the future, it probably will be because of that. Jazzy said while speaking at the company's quarterly earnings call, it's really culture, he added. And if you grow as fast as we did for several years, the size of businesses, the number of people, the number of locations, the types of businesses you're in, you end up with a lot more people than what you had before, and you end up with a lot more layers. Jazzy explained during the earnings call. And when that happens, sometimes without realizing it, you can weaken the ownership of the people that you have who are doing the actual work, and it can lead to you slowing down. Shout out to School for the 2. He says, but wait, there's more. That's literally has become, shout out to you for the 2. That's literally become one of my favorite drops to use in my videos, is that part right there. But that culture part, that, what? Blueberry said another round of layoffs are slated for January. All the layoffs affects it. Yeah, this is only the beginning, y'all. It was a screenshot of a list of companies that were having massive layoffs. I wish I had it because I would have used it in this live. But it was Amazon was on there. I think UPS was on there. It was like maybe like 10 companies. And it was thousands on top of thousands of people that were being laid off from these jobs. They said this round of Amazon lays is one of its biggest since late 2022, when it started to eliminate around 27,000 positions. During the earnings call, Amazon revealed that last quarter's layoffs came with an estimated $1.8 billion in severance costs. Oh, trust and believe, there's going to be more times when I use that drop in the videos. Trust me. I don't think I have the drop in my on the playlist here on StreamYards though. Yeah, that sounds like a bunch of BS from the CEO talking about its culture. No, you're cutting back. You're cutting costs. Like, you don't want to pay these people. That's really all it boils down to. X8 Guacha said, did you speak on that dog-faced Lilly Gaddis yet? It's funny you bring that up because ironically, that's the next story. So you came in at the right time. At first I was like, am I going to talk about this, or do I just like not talk about it? But I said, let me go ahead and talk about it. That way I can just get what I have to say about this chick off my chest. Now, I have talked about Lilly Gaddis on my channel a few times. I'm not going to say a whole bunch of times, but I've talked about her a couple of times on my channel, where literally the only thing that this woman has as far as her claim to fame is her saying the N-word on Twitter. Literally. She has nothing else going for her, especially when I be seeing black people like clap back at her. The only thing she comes back with as a response is saying that word, as if that's supposed to do something. Now, mind you, I don't think I've ever seen Lilly Gaddis be outside of her home studio ever. I don't think I've ever seen her be outside, like go outside and touch grass. Every time I've seen her, she's always in front of her camera, in front of her ring light, or behind her laptop talking ish about black people. But this recent stunt that she pulled on Halloween was when she decided to do blackface. As you can see right here. Trad wife influencer Lilly Gaddis draws sharp criticism for tone-deaf costume. Let's call it an anti-black one, highlighting the enduring legacy of black face in popular culture. A prominent American social media influencer, Lilly Gaddis, is under intense scrutiny after posting a Halloween costume that critics are calling blackface and racially insensitive, reviving a painful chapter of cultural appropriation of racism in visual form. Gaddis, who bills herself as a trad wife, which is short for traditional wife, and it's crazy because this woman isn't even married. I don't know why she calls herself a trad wife. She's not even married, and she's a single mother to a half Iranian child. Posted a video on TikTok featuring darkened skin makeup for a Halloween look, and she has since been denounced across social media platforms and by commentators as uncultured and racist. On top of the costume controversy, her previous use of the N-word in a separate TikTok video led to her being fired from her job at the home care company. So I want y'all to understand this. This woman was literally on the up and up for doing influencing stuff outside of what she's doing right now. But when she said the N-word in a video, like it said, she ended up losing her job for a home care company. And it's like ever since that happened, she's been taking her anger out on Black people as if we were the ones that made her say that word and got her fired. So ever since then, she's kind of, I guess this is her niche, her shtick, to get on and just say a whole bunch of stuff. But like I said, she only talks from inside of her home. She does not go outside and say anything. I don't think I've ever seen a video of Lilly Gaddis outside. All the videos I think I've seen of her, she's been indoors. Exactly, Wallow. She mad at us for no reason. We didn't get her fired. She got her fired. Then she put a video up on her page that says, I am not apologizing. Listen, we don't care if you apologize or not, because we know that if you did, it wouldn't mean anything. The thing is, we already are familiar with who she is. Before she even pulled the stunt, we already knew what she was all about. So we're not surprised that she did this. And like I said, this is all she has going for her. The only thing she has going for her is making anti-Black content. She has no talent. She has nothing else going for her. That's why a lot of Black people are like, okay, do you have anything else? She doesn't. This is all, literally all she has. And mind you, she was trying to get in good with a lot of those white conservative men over there. They don't want to deal with her. She's basically a pick-me. And they basically told her in so many words to get the F out of their face. So we're about to go into the last story right here. And that's these SNAP benefits being cut off. You know, last Saturday, the 1st, they ended up cutting SNAP benefits pretty much across the board. So people who usually go to the store on the 1st of the month or that first weekend, they couldn't go. And then when they checked their account, a lot of the money that was used for benefits was not there. Like, I've heard stories where people said that it was a balance of 0 in the account. But what I found to be very interesting is, I don't know if y'all saw it or not, and this is going back to AI again, but there were these videos that were popping up where you had Black women acting real belligerent about their food stamps and their WIC being cut off. And you had the usual suspects commenting on it or commentating or reacting to it and saying the usual things that they always say, only to find out that those videos were not even real. Those videos were AI. But what I found to be even more interesting, and I wish I had the video for that because that would have went perfectly with this. There was this video that went viral where it was some people that went to those bread lines. I think it was down there in Texas or maybe Nebraska. And it was nothing but a bunch of white people in them lines. And of course, they tried to, hide themselves, but they weren't wearing them red hats. And in that video, one part that stuck out to me was this white lady. She had a cart. Now, you know, with those food lines, you're only supposed to take a certain amount because they only have so much to go around. This woman stacked up her whole cart to the point where it was stuff starting to hang outside of the cart. And security chased her through the parking lot to stop her. So really, SNAP and WIC benefits getting cut off, it has exposed who really benefits the most from this. And we keep saying that white people benefit the most from SNAP benefits is not black people, like they'll have you to believe. And this right here exposed that. Because for so long, it's been so hush hush, or so I guess you could say undercover about them getting it. But now you can see who gets it the most. But yeah, they tried to put those AI videos out there. And what they tried to do was, because it was made through this platform called Sora, it's like an up and coming AI platform. And on the thing is, it'll have the Sora logo on there. So what they did was they removed the logo, or they removed the logo from it to make it seem like it was legit. But I guess someone messed up, because you could still see the logo in the video. And then that's when people realized that that was AI. But the one I was just talking about with the white people, that was not AI. Them standing in them food lines, that was not AI. That was for real. Miller said PC gets the most. They do. It's heavily documented. SNAP and welfare, that was created for them in mind. That wasn't initially for black people. Just like when it comes to affirmative action, it was supposed to be. But then we saw who hijacked it and got the most of it. All you got to do is, when you hear the usual suspects say that the black people do this the most and that the most, just know they're most likely lying, because somewhere in the background, it's not even us. It's probably them. So it's just projection. When they say that black people are the most violent, that's not true. When they say black people are getting the most in SNAP and WIC, that is also not true. For them, we are the low-hanging fruit. Shout out to Savion for being a member for 24 months. He says, LOL. They know those videos were AI. They just hate looking deep into that mirror and need someone else to blame. Exactly. And I appreciate you for being a member for 24 months. Yeah, like I said, it's all projection at the end of the day. That's why I've been doing these deep dive videos. That is exactly why I've been doing these deep dive videos, because I said people got to know about this. Owsley County. Oh, Jess, I'm glad you brought that up. Owsley County, Kentucky. We know about Owsley County. And the crazy part about it is, these are the same people that are still voting against their own interests. Because let's be real here. With everything going on, they're not voting on policy. They're voting on culture. And culture is kicking their ass right now. All right, so that was the last story. So you know what time it is. I'm about to drop the link in the chat. Y'all can come up. Remember, there is a 2-topic minimum to discuss with this. Hold on, y'all. I'm about to type something in the chat, and I want y'all to read that, especially for those who are coming up to speak. So take a chance to look and see what I wrote in the chat. All right, let's get started. Wallow, what's going on?
What's going on, Torian? What's going on, everybody in the chat? What's up, Blueberry Muffin? I ain't seen you in a while. With the whole, I'm gonna talk about the SNAP real quick, because as I've told y'all before, I'm in the retail business industry, whatever you want to call it. It's like the stores this past week. Like, I know North Carolina was one of the the states that kind of sued the government for what's going on. So it's kind of been a mixed bag. And then I think was it last night that the Supreme Court shut it down, if I'm correct. If anybody, I don't know if you saw that.
Because allegedly they said Trump was going to partially do it, like do partial SNAP benefits, but then they came back and said that he shut it down altogether. So basically now they're back at square one with not any benefits at all.
Yeah, that's why a lot of folks I saw the last couple of days buying so much stuff, and I was like, yeah, I just realized that because it's like one of my stores is Walmart, for example. Sorry. So it's very noticeable when I see it at Walmart because that's probably the number one store that gets food stamps is Walmart. Anybody knows, So with that whole situation, I do feel bad for people who are basically like the working poor. They can't feed their families. It's paycheck to paycheck. I do feel bad for them because you playing with people's own lives out here. So I understand
and also too, let's not forget that just because you get SNAP benefits does not mean you're not working. There are a lot of people who work and get SNAP. It's just that you have to not go past a certain threshold of earnings to receive it.
Right, man. That's a lot. That's what a lot of people don't understand. Like, bro, like people believe anything they hear without doing research. That's why I got Chat GPT. And shout out to my Chat GPT, because God knows it saves me a ton of time. Well, it helps me with a ton of time with stuff. So that's probably the only topic I really want to talk about, Torin. I'll land my plane there. Y'all in the chat, y'all roast everybody else. Be one.
Shout out to Waller for coming up. Next up, we got E = MC squared. What's going on?
Hey, so this was something I wanted to bring up to you the next time you were going to have one of these. It doesn't have anything to do with the topics that you talked about today. So there was a teacher that worked at Uvalde Elementary School, Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas, where that mass shooting happened that killed all them kids. And apparently CNN did an interview with the teacher who supposedly left the door open to the school, which caused the shooter to be able to get into the school. What was sad about it was that authorities had pinned the blame on the teacher, saying that she left the door open and unlocked, but new footage showed that she closed the door behind her. She had went outside to make a phone call when she saw the shooter crash his car. Then when he got out the car and was running to the school and started to shoot, she had ran back inside and closed the door behind her. She had propped the door open with a rock when she went out there, and she kicked the rock away and closed the door behind her. She was the one that really made the first initial 911 call that day when the shooting had occurred. And she had also ran to alert the teachers and the students, telling them to take cover. And the fact that authorities are like blaming her, for making it seem like, well, she left the door open, she shouldn't have done that, blah, 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 blah. And like when I look at situations like that, and I've even been in situations myself as a Black person, like people always have to find a scapegoat in the workplace or in the world in general. The higher ups always have to find a scapegoat or someone to blame for things nobody anticipated or something that was actually their fault. And if anybody doesn't know this, Uvalde, that shooting, it was known for authorities not responding to the shooting fast enough. Yeah, I just, I've been in situations like where, there's always a scapegoat. The government or the higher ups, they're always, or law enforcement, they're always using a scapegoat or somebody to blame for their shortcomings and stuff that they should have done but didn't do.
Mm-hmm.
But that's all I had to come up here and say.
Okay, thanks for coming up.
No problem.
Shout out to E = MC squared. Next, we got Mr. Williams. What's going on?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of came into an hour late, but I did catch it when you was talking about Amazon. And I don't know, I seen a Senate hearing.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them little hearings where they talk to certain politicians. So they were starting to show the figures of Amazon and how all these companies have still been making record profits. So they showed the growth of 2023 to 2024 for Amazon. And they talked about the, I guess would be the CEO, president, whatever they call him, he gets certain compensation. So in 2023, he got like 29 point something million, and that's his money. 2024, 44 million. But yet you got Amazonians struggling to get living wages. I didn't know that, and they said they're the biggest violator of OSHA also. Then I found out. You remember the brother that was trying to get a union going in New York? That's still going on. Amazon's been procrastinating for the last 3 or so years, giving them the runaround. I actually forgot about that myself. I'm like, oh, so they've done nothing since then. They just been doing the whole circle and probably a bunch of excuses. So, and yeah, I didn't know that he said something about the culture. That don't even make no sense. Just
exactly.
I mean, I don't know, cause that was kind of a head scratcher. I don't know where else I came in at. I think it's we was talking about the food banks. So I seen a news thing on YouTube. A lot of these stores are taking a loss without people with their SNAP benefits. There was a small, you got the small little stores like the little mini marts and stuff. Dude was like, usually certain time of the year or certain time of the month, people come in all day throughout the whole day and get what they need. It was ghost up in there. So not only are they hurting the people, they're hurting businesses, that can't make their money from those folks who get SNAP benefits. That I didn't know. I just happened to see it on YouTube. So yeah. I don't know what's up with this administration. I don't know what they on, but Sister Deborah Yah redirecting said one thing a long time ago. Trump was put in office to cause chaos. That was it. And even though it's not Trump, it's Stephen Miller. I give a shout out to True World for even talking about him, because I'd never really heard of him until she said something. And now you're starting to see who this guy is, and he's the person talking, but you don't really, he's the one giving Trump all this, you might as well call it sound advice that's causing a lot of the problems. So that's all I need to say, though. Talk to y'all later.
Appreciate you, Mr. Williams, for coming up. Wallow, you got your wish. You got your first buzz of the day. All right, next up, we got Jonathan. What's going on?
What's going on, Tori and Adrian? All right. All right. So yeah, I believe I saw some more instances similar to that Liddy Gaddis who got fired.
Uh-oh, something happened with your connection. All right, I'm gonna drop. John, you might have to drop down and come back up because your connection just froze. Oh, and he came right, but Jonathan, you got to come back up. All right, next up we got Jesse. What's going on?
What up, Torian? B1 salute. B1 salute to you. B1 salute to the chat. Oh my God, that damn pastor, that stuff really upset me. Is one of the many reasons why I stopped going to church. These damn people is more about the money than they are about the word of God, and that's very obvious. I'm sorry to hear that sister lied and said that he didn't say that when he clearly did on video. Like, he really embarrassed that sister, and she's still going to that church. Like, that's why I can't do it. I was in a co-church for like 2.5 years. I can't do it. As far as Amazon, I think they're firing all those people because the AI is about to take over all those jobs.
Yep.
I hear from several people that
and the
work.
CEO even alluded to that. That's
Yeah,
coming.
I hear many people that have worked there that they're working like a Hebrew slave. So yeah, I'm good on that. As far as the SNAP benefits, I know my state, as of last night, had gave us our SNAP benefits. I hope other states follow suit because, like I said in the chat, I hate to see other people go hungry, especially American citizens go hungry, especially the children. So yeah, state of Colorado did release the SNAP benefits yesterday, right before midnight. As a matter of fact, after the Supreme Court, ironically enough, Ketanji Jackson she was the Supreme Court justice that was against them actually honoring that order. So the tether herself was trying to keep us from getting our SNAP benefits, but it looked like they came through, at least for the state of Colorado. All right, that's all I had. Thank you
All
for
right,
having me
appreciate
on,
you coming
Michelle,
up.
Frontline Black News.
Shout out to Jesse for coming up. Before I bring up the next person, shout out to Scoop for the 2. He says, I get SNAP in EBT and I'm constantly working. See, I told you, not everybody who gets SNAP and EBT are just sitting on their ass all day. There are people that are working and they get it. Like I said, they just can't go past a certain threshold in order to receive it. All right, I think Jonathan got his connection better, so we're going to bring him back up. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, my bad, bro. I don't know what happened. But anyway, yeah. Um, what was I? But you know what? It don't matter. Okay, the blackface. Yeah. So there was another chick, on Twitter who went viral for blackface. But man, she she forgot to hide her scalp because somebody noticed a bald spot and we posted that shit on Twitter. Man, she been roasted on since then. I even reposted that to clown her as well. Like, bro, like before you try to make fun of us, man, fix your hygiene. You know what I'm saying, and show us that you care for yourself to have the full hair in your head, um, rather than having a bald spot like an old man and you're a damn female. Like, come on now. And that's stupid. That's for the Lilly Gaddis. That's stupid. How you gonna blame us for you for you losing your job, and you the one that made a racist statement and doing blackface? Remind me of. It remind me of when Charlie Kirk got killed by that white dude. Some white folks, you know, targeted HBCUs over Charlie Kirk's murder. And I'm like, why do they always lump us into that shit when we had no part of that? 3 schools had to get canceled because of some racist idiot one targeted them for the hell of it because they lost Charlie Kirk, so they want to take their anger out on black folks. Like always pumping us in danger, innocent kids all the time. It's like, come on, man. That's what I'm saying, man. Racism. Oh shit. All right, I'm out of here.
Shout out to Jonathan for coming up. Next, we got Church. What's going on?
How you doing, Torian? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Blessings to you and blessings to the chat, the family. I just wanted to come up and say real quick about the food stamp situation. Our brother Jesse is correct. Colorado did get their reparations. I mean, not reparations. The food stamps, the SNAP benefits, but also all the other Democratic states, for the most part, also received the SNAP benefits before Ketanji Brown shut it down. So essentially the only people, I don't want to say the only people, but majority of the people who did not receive their SNAP benefits are in red states. So you can look up all the states that received them, and for the most part, they're all Democratic states. And then Ketanji Brown shut it down. So I find it very interesting that she did it in that manner. But I just wanted to drop that tidbit. Much love to you, my good brother. I'll speak to you later.
Appreciate you coming up. Shout out to Church for coming up. And let's see, who do we got next coming to the stage? Hold on. Oh, of course.
Heed my command and reclaim these relics of hatred.
Hurricane Nisi, what's going on?
Good afternoon, Torian and family in the chat. Well, I live in West Virginia, which is a red state. And I know several people personally on SNAP. And this is my one opinion on it. You should not be using food as a bargaining tool, along with water, air, and any other amenities that is needed to live as a human being. This wicked government is on display, whether they realize it or not, that this is the beginning of the fall of Babylon. And I land there. B1.
B1. Shout out to Hurricane Nisi for coming up. All right, I'm about to bring the last person up. There's only one more person left that's speaking. So if y'all see the link in the chat, do not click it. If you click it, I'm just going to drop you. All right, so round us out with the panel discussion. Blueberry Muffin, what's going on?
Hey, greetings. Glad that I'm back in black and on the attack. Well, Miss Nisi, shout out to you over there in West Virginia. I'm up here in the great state of Washington, where the senior senator, Patty Murray, I'm going to put her ass on blast. She's one of the ones holding out. She's one of the evil ones that's using food as the bargaining chip to give these illegals and other foreign nationals our taxpayer benefits. Okay? Everybody in this chat, we pay our taxes for SNAP benefits and for basically Obamacare. These freeloaders that just came over, they don't deserve any of that. However, these bleeding heart liberals, these Ku Klux Klans men and women in disguise brought those people over on top of us to subjugate us. And now look at what's happening. What happened over there in Nebraska? White folks on food stamps. Let me tell you something. You brought up that county in Kentucky. There's Ponderia County in Eastern Washington. Nothing but broke down white people and Native Americans. 55% of the white people are on SNAP and all the Native Americans on SNAP. Ponderia County, Washington. Okay? All I got to say is this. They fixed it this way. They want it to stay this way, and guess who's going to pay? That's all I got to say. B1, brother.
Appreciate you coming up. Ended it on a word. Now, those are some bars. But shout out to Blueberry Muffin for coming up and rounding off the panel. And shout out to everyone that came up and spoke. Shout out to KG and Church for being members of the channel. Shout out to Known King. Welcome back, Known King. I know you're busy, with life, and adulting is overrated, but it is what it is. But when you pop in, you pop in. Shout out to you for the 2 contributions you made. Brother Man, shout out to you for the $10 super chat. Miss Nisi for the 20, Scoop for the 5 and the 2. Shout out to Savion for being a member of 24 months, and again, Scoop for the other 2. So tomorrow, as y'all know, tomorrow is going to be True Crime Sunday. So we will be back on here at 11:40 a.m. tomorrow for True Crime Sunday. So be sure to be on the lookout for that. I'll put the live window up probably much later on this evening. So make sure y'all are back for that. And if you haven't done so already, follow me on Rumble, because that is where we will be watching the documentary at. Since, over here, it will be a copyright issue. With that being said, though, y'all enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Shout out to everyone who came through, members, mods, people over on Patreon. A shout out to each and every one of you. And I will talk to you in the next one, which, of course, will be tomorrow. Be safe, and most importantly, be one.